Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of what if Naruto had his father's intelligence and his mother's hair. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to stay tuned for the rest of what ifs coming your way over Anime King 2, Anime King 3, Anime Prince. Yes, I indeed have 4 channels that I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. And also, don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this new episode begin now guys? So the last spot we left off, the group arrived at Yukigakure. Upon arriving there, the man that they transported was rather grateful for them protecting him and his people, as he gave them a stay for the night. As the group was there rather late, so Kakashi decided to allow them to stay there, which they did. As they all went and they got changed into some yukatas and kimonos, and they went out to watch as there was a pretty show going on at the moment. As Naruto ended up separating from the other two, as he made his way to go and check out the places. That is when he noticed a guy as he started to speak to him. As the guy had such hate in his tone for the people of this place that changed it into a resort, he came to call it. He said that this place was once a shinobi village of ruthless shinobis, killers. However now, it's all been changed because of those people. He was so angry, Naruto could literally hear the anger oozing from him. Something was wrong. The guy brought out a blade and attacked him as Naruto jumped away. Chaos ensued not after that as a man ended up slicing into a woman, completely slicing into her calf. She cried out as Kakashi and the others arrived on the scene. As Naruto glanced over towards Mayu, him and her start to help out the people and get them out of there. A boy almost got trampled but they saved him though. Kakashi faced off against a guy that was known as Hidan, as Kakashi clashed against him. Kakashi ended up using his lightning blade, as he ended up destroying the blade that Hidan had. However, one of the metal pieces ended up shooting towards where Naruto was. The child was about to get pierced, but Naruto jumped right in the way, as the blade pierced right through his chest, luckily not hitting his heart. But still, the wound was really bad. The problem now was, Kakashi still had a foe to deal with as Kakashi did not hesitate to end him, driving another lightning blade through his heart. But the man suddenly came back up. Kakashi didn't know if he missed or something because the man was still walking. Even if he had missed the man's heart, his Shidori should have kept him down, but yet the man was back on his feet. Something was wrong here that Kakashi could not understand. The man then rushed over as he went after the last member of their team. In order to save him though, Kakashi had to make a quick move, and it worked out in the end though, as the man ended up teething the sight that he found on the ground and ran away, as he done had escaped without anything that day. As Kakashi went over towards Naruto and checked upon him, however the wound was already healed, wiping off the blood, the skin was being repaired, the fox was healing him. Naruto woke up later that night in a bed as he looked around confused. That is when Mayu came in as she held his hand, as she told him that she forgave him. Naruto was confused. What did she forgive him for? He didn't understand. Since then, the team went on several more missions. As a year passed, when the year passed, they decided to take the Chunin exams. Naruto had slowly changed and become good with his teammates and sensei. Things were, a lot better than before, and Naruto was happy for that. So they went to the Hidden Sand to take part in the exam. Arriving there, their first test was to destroy the other columns of the Sand Ninjas, working together as the other two used their ninjutsu while Naruto used his ear pressure to cause the water to erupt from the ground. as they won the first round. They were the first one to win as they made their way inside. Arriving in there, they were given several tunnels. As they had to go through, it was like a maze. So with that they entered. There was another team there from Konoha as well. It was a team of Neji, Rock Lee and Tenten. And there was also another team that consists of Kabuto and 2 others. The group made their way down the tunnel, as they kept on walking until they arrived towards a location where they could rest for the night. As once Mayu had went to sleep, as Rai said that he would take the first watch, he asked Naruto, why did Mayu hate him? She started to warm up to him now, but first, she always acted strange around him, and he's known her for a long time. When she set her mind to something, she did not change, but she's changed her mind. Ryu was afraid of Naruto in the beginning because he was born on the 10th of October, the night when the Nine Tails attacked, and not to mention, he had those whisker marks, so he was afraid of him, thinking that he had something to do with the fox. However, since becoming on a team with him, he realized that was far from the truth. So much far from the truth. However, Naruto's mind started to react negatively to that, as his head started to pound whenever he thought about the attack on the village all those years ago. He didn't know why he was having this serious backlash of headache, just of thinking about it. While he was thinking about that, 2 pair of orange eyes opened in another section of the cave. Naruto was about to find out things about himself that he didn't even know. Things that were kept from him, things that he would be rather upset about to hear. So yeah guys, basically let's left off. You guys can switch across the play, check it for yourself. So we jump right into new episode begin now guys. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was disoriented by the blue lights. As he then remembered, they were deep under the hidden sand, in the midst of the second exam in the maze. They had figured out how to get water, food, and they found shelter for the night. Now they would have to fulfill the second set of requirements for the exam. Gain another team's number plate while protecting their own. Naruto's nose picked up the aroma of roasted meat. His stomach growled as he got up, sniffing the air. He turned as he saw Mayu as she was sitting next to a small campfire. It seems like she had prepared breakfast as they slept. Much of the color in her face had returned, and judging from the small smile that she had, it seems like she was feeling better. There were several meat on stick skewers as she was turning them over the fire. Rai was right beside him as he gave him a nod, as Naruto was thankful that he did not bring up the conversation that they had last night, as Mayu offered them their portions, as they share a look of gratitude before they dug in. It was quiet for several minutes as they ate. Finally, Rai spoke up. Now that we're rested and all, he said, it's time to shake out some rookies, yeah? As he tore another piece of meat off the stick. As Naruto spoke up, it's been around 13 hours since the beginning of the first test, leaving us with 110 hours. We can either wait for the last 2 days or strike fast and finish early. If we wait it out, it's likely that we will get our choose amongst the weaker teams. But the ones who have not passed by that point will be more dangerous, more desperate. Mayu said, a look of worry on her face. And on top of capturing another plate, we also have to think about reaching the surface, right? It hadn't escaped Naruto that she started to speak up a lot more during their discussions. It was better than before, because before he always felt like there was a wall blocking her off from, well, even talking to him. Desperation breeds desperate measures, said Naruto. So we should try to finish this off early. And like you said, her face brightened. It will be best to start mapping out the base, and keep an eye out for enemies and booby traps. Every time the tunnel diverge, we'll mark the path that we took, and if we come across it, we'll mark it off. Sweeping sand over their campfire, they quickly conceal any presence of them ever being there. Working under the assumption that Neji would use his Byakugan to choose the best possible route, they made their way to the tunnel that Naruto had saw them go the day before. As they walked until the tunnel go off in 2 paths. One widened and went to the left, as one of them was a bit stope and went straight upwards. So, which one will it be? Asked Rai. Mayu turned towards a wider path. But that is exactly what they would expect us to take, right? Without responding, Naruto stepped right into the center as he closed his eyes. He then took a few seconds before he opened his eyes back. He then started to head down the wider path as he motioned for them to follow him. The both of them had questioning looks on their faces. I can feel a slight breeze coming from this path, he told them. The air from the other side is still, so it's likely a dead end. The both of them trusted judgment. As they made their way through the tunnel, Mayu sent out her blue birds, as they provide a constant stream of information, which though limited was helpful, as it allowed them to sketch out their mental maps of the cave. Rai kept a sharp eye out for fights and scuffles, and also kept track on the cave that they went through already. When Naruto wasn't able to tell a difference between the wind current, he sent a shadow clone down one path, and they walked down the other. After several hours, Naruto came to a stop. As he raised a hand, one of the shadow clones that he sent out an hour ago had just fallen into a pit of fat lava. Shivering at the sensation of all those lava crawling over his body, he nearly missed the flicker behind them. As Naruto did not change his mood in the slightest as he walked, he reached up and brushed the bang out of his face as he twitched his pinky. Rai noticed as he gave a small nod. As Rai groaned, as he slumped on the ground. "Man, I'm starving," he said. "It's about time for lunch, isn't it? We've come pretty far. Let's find some food." "I agree," said Naruto as he crossed his arms. "Let's take a break for now." "Well, alright then," Mayu said. "I'll collect some vegetables, so how about you two get the moles?" she told them. "Sounds good," said Rai, as he pulled a kunai out and twirled it. "Come on, Naruto," he said. "Let's go find some moles." He then jumped up and disappeared. He reappeared at the end of the tunnel holding his kunai to the throat of a dark-skinned genin. At the same time, Naruto launched two shurikens towards the ceiling. A stocky, blonde male quickly leaped away. Without a look back towards his teammate, he fled to the nearest hole and disappeared. Naruto did not move as he watched the hole. Several seconds later, there was a yell of pain, and then there was a sound of something being dragged. As Naruto clone emerged, drawing the unconscious genin by his collar, the shadow clone tossed the body down where Rai stood with the other unconscious genin. They tied the both of them together, and as Mayu searched for their team plate, Naruto glanced around. Judging from their headband, they were from Take, but they looked to be just a two-man team. When he first detected them, he thought their third member was behind, just waiting to back them up a bit further. However, their third member was nowhere to be seen, and Naruto could not feel the person nowhere, either meaning that their third member was too far for him to detect, or they lost their third member already, as Naruto was sure that the third member could not hide from him for this long. "Where's your third?" Rai said. "Are they waiting to ambush us or not?" The genin scowled at Rai. "Like I will tell you, you little..." He screamed in pain as Naruto clone shoved his foot into his face. As Naruto kneeled down in front of the genin and pulled out a kunai, he placed it on the nail of his fingernail and started to apply pressure. "First, it will be your fingernails, and then your fingers. That is if you will talk." "Where is your other teammate?" "Didn't you hear me the first time?" the genin said as he spat at Naruto's feet. "You're not gonna get nothing out of us. We are..." He cried out in pain as Naruto popped his nail off, shoving the kunai upwards. "Naruto," Mayu said, as she stepped forward but Rai held her back. "That was just a fingernail," said Naruto. The genin eyes was wide in tears of pain leaking out. "Imagine how much more it will hurt if I did that to a finger." Alright, she's not here. We ditched her." "We don't know where she is," he yelled. Naruto stood up. He could tell from his body language that genin was telling the truth. Or at least, believed him. He slammed the blunt end of the kunai into the genin's skull, knocking him out. He looked up as Mayu was staring at him. He saw something that he hadn't seen in a while in her face as she looked at him. Fear. "Was that really necessary?" she said. "We're ninjas, Mayu," Rai spoke up. "This is what we do. Stop being such a baby." She did not respond. Instead, she placed the hood of her cloak over her head. Rai grabbed the plate that she was clutching in her hand. The number 44 was engraved on it. He tossed it into the air. "Yeah," he says, he caught it. That was easy. Time skip, leaving the genins behind them. They made their way through the cave as Naruto clone sank into the shadows. As Naruto watched Mayu stiffly move away from him, he felt his heart sink a bit. He did not feel any remorse for handling the situation that way. Torture was a proven way to successfully gather information, but he wondered if he should have held back for Mayu's sake. It was unfortunate, seeing that she had a rather good skill of perception. She was the least desensitized out of all three of them. Sometimes Naruto questioned whether she was truly suited for the life of a ninja, someone who clearly did not have the heart or mind for ninja work sometimes, especially when it comes to brutality. He wondered how did she came up on it in the first place. Not for the first time, Naruto wondered what he would do if she ever got in the way of a mission. So far, it hasn't been proved to be much of an issue, but the missions that awaited them in the future were definitely going to be more bloody. Suddenly, Naruto drew his Tanto from his sheet. The clone that popped memories had flooded into his mind. The last thing the clone saw was a flash of white. Before he could let out a warning, someone called out from behind him. "Stop right there!" Naruto quickly spun around, his teammates doing the same. However, the Genin that walked towards him was calm. She had short, spiky hair and curious, orange eyes. As Naruto noticed a headband on her right arm, the waterfall symbol of Take, she was likely the third member of the team that he had ditched. His grip on his Tanto tightened. His shadow clone had not even sensed her coming up behind him. He thought that was impossible in such a close space, but no, she did it. He could feel it in his bones. She was too calm. She was dangerous, he thought to himself. And yet, as Naruto looked at her, something inside of him was burning. There was such a familiar sensation that he couldn't put his finger on. As Mayu bluebirds took off into the air as Rai launched a barrage of shurikens. Dodging the shurikens, the girl picked up speed as she started to run towards them. She leaped over the birds as her hands blew through seals. She then opened her mouth. Secret jutsu, hiding in scale power, technique. Naruto's hands blurred through hand signs as he released a grip on his blade. Wind style. Great wind breakthrough, he said. However, to Naruto's surprise, what came out of her mouth was something that sparkled as it lighted up the entire place around them. The powder got so bright that Naruto could not see a damn thing as he started to send intense pain into his eyeballs. It was like the sun was slammed dab right in front of his face. Rai howled in agony as Naruto quickly shut his eyes. He heard the wind jutsu that he expelled kept on blowing through the cave, but it was too late. The powder had done its work. Opening his eyes, Naruto could only see yellow and throbbing shapes that threw him off balance as he reached out to hold on to the wall. Shouldn't have done that, the girl said. Naruto was shocked, judging from her voice. She was right in front of him, yet he couldn't sense her. "What the hell is this?" Rai yelled. The intense white light was dimming, but Naruto could only see blobs around them. "The name's Fu," she said. "That was my scale powder technique. Don't worry, the effects aren't permanent. Usually anyways. Well, I'm just here to get my team plate back." "So which one of you has it?" Rai must have given himself away with an involuntary twitch, as the girl immediately pounced on him. "Ah, so you do." There was a muffled yell, and Naruto heard clothes ruffling. "Ah, thanks. See you later, alligators." "Or not," she said, as she took off. As Naruto's vision restored at the last moment to see the shadow running away from them, Rai tried to get up, but Naruto held out his hand, stopping him. Rai growled in frustration. "What is it?" he said. "Don't," said Naruto. "We're at a disadvantage right now. It would be easier to obtain another team plate than try to go after her." "It's not worth the effort," said Naruto. Rai released another snarl of anger. "Damn that girl," he said, as he picked up a pebble and slammed it into the wall. "And that Genin bastard, he lied to us. I'm gonna kill him." "I don't think he was," Mayu said. "They were probably traveling separately." "Why the hell would they do that when she's got that technique?" None of them could answer that though. Once their vision was finally restored, they began to press forward once again. However, Mayu stopped them. There was an impassable pit up ahead. Her birds informed her so they had to turn back around. As they walked, Naruto's mind was buzzing over the recent turn of events. He had not taken the exam seriously enough, obviously. The other team plate was easy to capture, however. That girl had taken it back so easily as well. She said that her name was Fu. She had this kind of confidence that only came with years of experience. As Naruto had chosen not to follow her, telling his team that it would be better if they go after another team. However, he wondered was his influence doubted by fear at all. He did not doubt his own abilities. He believed in a direct confrontation he could take her down pretty easily once he avoided that powder thing. Nevertheless, something about her just unsettled him, and it was bothering him greatly. As they arrived back towards the location, they saw, what the hell? The two Genins that they had left there was still there, tied up. The blonde was still unconscious. However, the other one, the dark-skinned one, he was awake, glaring at them hatefully. The blood had dried up on his lips. Did she not see them or something? Rai asked as he nudged the blonde. Did your third teammate pass by? He asked, the dark-skinned one. That thing is not a teammate of mine, he said angrily. Rai scratched his head. Well, she took your team plate back from us, he confessed. Wouldn't have been logical for her to free you guys while she was at it. Monsters aren't logical. Monsters? Said Naruto. Naruto noticed Mayu stiffen, however he ignored it. What do you mean, said Naruto. The genin looked up at Naruto and for a moment Naruto thought that he was not going to respond. The blonde started to twitch as his eyes flutter open. The genin's twitch. His eyes had a look of utter loathing as Naruto saw that look before, but aimed at him. She's a Jinchuriki. What's a Jinchuriki, said Rai. The blonde finally came to as he looked towards Naruto and flinched back. The other one spoke. She got a monster seal inside of her. She's Taki, weapon. The blonde snapped his head towards his teammate that spoke. Moshimi, what are you doing, he said. That's a village secret. And what about the plan? I don't care. The genin now identified as Moshimi said. That thing killed my parents before they seal it away. I want it dead. And I have my doubts about the plan. I know what you feel, but remember what Sensei said about telling anything to outsiders. Do you even realize what you're doing right now? If it means I have to betray your village, then so be it, he said, conviction in his tone. By a monster. What do you mean, said Naruto as he lowered himself. Moshimi opened his mouth, but as his teammates struggled to stop him. Shut up, he said, don't say anything. A tail beast. The seven tails. So go tell your village and your Hokage. Go tell them that Taki is raising up a weapon in order to become one of the 5 great villages. Go tell them, let them come and destroy it and finally get rid of that monster, Moshimi said. Flashback when Naruto was 8 years old. As it was October 10th, his birthday, as he was in the academy. On this day there was always a lecture about the past and what the fort did. There was also people mourning the death of their greatest hero, who sacrificed himself for the village. Mizuki, the assistant of Iruka, was talking about the fort and what he did. Yes, he said, the fort certainly dealt with it for us. That is why he is known as a hero today. And for many more accomplishments, Chunin said. For a second there, Naruto saw the man's eyes linger on him, until it moved away. Naruto tilted his head strangely. Dealt with it. He didn't say kill, he said dealt with it. Iruka always said kill, and it was no longer a bother to them, but Mizuki said dealt with it. Could it be a slip-up, Naruto wondered? Or perhaps there's a chance the Nine Tails was still out there, roaming the earth. Naruto's head started to throb as he thought about that, quickly dismissing that the fort was one of the greatest. There was no chance that he would let the beast roam the earth. He would have dealt with it in the best way possible, and what other way would there be than to kill that monster? Naruto thought to himself, his headache going away when he believed that the beast was dead. End of flashback. Team Abreu, hail from the hidden rain, never saw it coming. Their plan was to wait till the midpoint of the exam, and the stronger and the weaker teams would have worn themselves out. They were still in top condition with their strategy of genjutsu and cloning. They would have get their plate from the first exhausted team, and they successfully got through their plan against a sand team, armed with the plate and also the intelligence they got from their ally rain team. They were heading towards the exit. However, it didn't last. Their first indication of danger was one of their teammates, Mobe, dropped his umbrella as it clattered to the ground. The boy himself soon followed as he collapsed face first, white froth coming out of his mouth as he shook uncontrollably. The last two, Kagure and Abreu, jumped away from their teammate, just in time to avoid the two kunais that embedded right where they once stood. Kagure and Abreu's hand both blur. Clone technique, they said. Several clones appear around them in swirling mists as they rapidly went through hand sign once again. Earth style. Earth swim technique. The earth below them turned fluid as they sunk below, leaving their clones. Sure enough, battle clashed above them as both Kagure and Abreu kept on their face masks. It was their breather. They nodded toward each other before they burst out of the ground, spinning their umbrellas around. Needles shot all over the place. The both of them land back to back as their clones went up in mist. Oh the hell? Where are they? Said Abreu as he looked around, not seeing a sign of the enemy. Wait, what the hell? As he saw a strange blue bird. But what would a bird like that be doing down here? Kagure collapsed on the ground, foam coming out of his mouth. Abreu remembered the promise he made to his younger brother before leaving the village as he threw his arms up. I surrender, he said. Just let me and my teammates live, and I'll give you our plates. As his eyes flipped down to his left pocket, he saw A flash of red above him, as everything went black for him as he collapsed. Time skip with Naruto. Naruto was used to pain. Yes, he was used to pain, of course, physical. And usually there was some kind of pain that he didn't understand. But now, it felt like a blunt axe was slamming into his skull over and over. So go and tell your village, go tell your Hokage, that Taki is raising a weapon to try and become one of the great nations. Come and destroy it for us. As Naruto thought on those words from Mushimi, he knew that he was telling the truth. This meant that there was more than one tail beast still roaming the world. Naruto had tried to look up the tail beasts since the day that Mizuki spoke about them. However, there wasn't even a single scroll, nothing about the Bijus. Granted, he never thought that there was much information on those forces of nature, but to have literally no information at all, not even the slightest, at least something but nothing? His head was pounding too hard, so he decided to believe that it was one of the village top secrets, to be handled by the elite and the Hokage, not by an academy student like him. And so he had placed it aside. But now his mind was reverting back to a similar trait of thought. However, now he realized these monsters could actually be sealed away in people. He didn't know much about Fuinjutsu. However, he knew that it was a technique that sealed objects in other objects. He always assumed there was a limit to what could be sealed. But if a tail beast could be sealed in a person, and that person could somewhat harness the tail beast chakra, that person might very well be invincible. And Mushimi said that Taki was raising up a Jinchuriki in order to become one of the 5 great villages. So does that mean the other great villages have a Jinchuriki of their own? A weapon that is known as a mass destruction, a source of nature, a force of calamity itself. Did the Fourth Hokage really destroy it, or did he seal it into someone? Maybe into a baby, Naruto thought. He had searched upon the fort when he tried to find out the seal on his stomach, because sealing led back to the fort name, because the Fourth Hokage was a seal master. Come to think about it, why did he hadn't seen seal in a long time? Why did he hadn't seen a seal in a long time? As Naruto's head started to throb even more. Wait, there was something. Yes, that... What was... Yeah, he possessed red chakra. Red chakra. Yes, he hadn't touched or thought of it in years. When he pulled on that red chakra, that is when that seal on his stomach showed up. Come and destroy it for us. Mushimi words flashed through his mind. Those eyes. Those dreadful eyes. He's seen those eyes before. They were just like Naruto. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts. His hand automatically reaching for the tanto strapped on his back. Rai took a step back as Naruto recognized his teammate and released the handle. As Naruto noticed that Taki Jennings were nowhere to be seen, in fact, he looked as he saw they were walking somewhere. What's going on, he thought. What's up with you, said Rai, asking Naruto cautiously. Nothing, said Naruto. I just spaced out. Time skip. The second exam passed by real quickly. Mayu used her genjutsu. When they came upon the other team, it was from the Hinrin. Naruto had chopped the last one in the back of the neck. After several more hours with no further problems, they finally reached the end of the maze. They emerged out of the dark tunnel to see that it was midday. They were somewhere in a desert away from the sand village. There was not a cloud in the sky. The strong sunlight was hard on their eyes after hours in the darkness. Nevertheless, Rai threw himself on the ground as he spread his arms, soaking up the light. As Mayu's face got a wide smile on it despite her eyes squinting from the light. Naruto on the other hand was still tense, his eyes looking around for possible ambush spots. Rai noticed that. Naruto, he said, we're finally out of that hellhole. Lighten up, he told him. Naruto ignored him though as Rai sighed. The sound of footsteps alerted them as they saw a Chunin from the sand walking up towards them. His face was covered in mostly bandage and a flat mass. He held his hand out. Plates, please, he said, as Mayu reached into her cloak until Naruto threw several shurikens. As the Chunin pulled a kunai out and batted them away, Mayu looked towards shurikens before she turned towards Naruto. The Chunin lowered his kunai. Attack our examiner again, and you will be disqualified from the exam. What was that for? Rai asked. Naruto did not apologize. For all we know, you could have been another examinee, trying to take our plates at the last moment. It was difficult to tell the Chunin face behind the mask, but Naruto could have sworn that he saw something twitch. My name is Sabusa, and I'm one of the Chunin examinees for this year's Chunin selection at the Hidden Sand. It has been exactly 29 hours and 44 minutes since the Chunin exam begun. Congratulations on passing the second exam. As Sabusa led them back to the village, making his way through a sandy path that only he could see, Naruto saw several other exits, as he saw a Sand Chunin waiting for another team. How do you guys know when to pick us up? Rai asked. Cameras, Sabusa said. Contrary to what many have thought, the second exam was not to be a battle royale, with the examiners being blind to what is happening. And you guys want to see what the future ninjas of other villages had up their sleeve, huh? Rai said. That too, Sabusa said. So did you see that girl that attacked us? She creamed us, said Rai. As Naruto stopped short, Rai yelled in pain as Mayu had kicked him. We did not have a camera in every tunnel, so we might have missed that one, Sabusa said. Naruto was certain that Sabusa was lying. He paused a millisecond before he had spoke. He would have bet his prized tanto that every single one of them knew of the Jinjulki from Taki. However, for now they were faking ignorance. The question was, did they find out when Mushimi went on a rant, or did they know before that? And if they had, why did they let her participate in the exam? Time skip. Naruto and his team were brought past the village gates and brought into one of the circular clay buildings. Contrary to its appearance on the outside, it was cool and light on the inside as they removed their heavy cloaks. As Mayu sniffed her sleeve and cringed as she thrust the cloak away from her. They were the second team that passed. They were beaten out by Guy's team of rookies. The three rookies looked battered, but they looked thrilled about their success. When Neji saw them, he placed his cool smirk on his face once again. With 3 days left, they were guided towards separate corners where they could clean up, eat, and rest. After taking a long refreshing bath and saying goodnight to his teammates, Rai was a bit disappointed as he was thinking about going to explore the village, but he was told by Sabusa that they were not allowed to leave the exam until it was over. It was to prevent sabotage. Naruto had turned in early. He did not sleep that well as he tossed and turned all night. The next day Naruto rose. Breakfast was outside for him waiting. It was a tray of sand cuisine, nothing that he was used to. The meat was chewy and dry, and his soup was filled with something that looked like seaweed, but it tasted sweet. Nevertheless, as he ate, he thought about the caretaker that once prepared his meal. Strangely enough, he had never seen her again after she took care of him, and for the first time he wondered where she was. He couldn't even remember her face. All he remembered that was she was stern and quick with her hand, and now he wondered why he was left with a caretaker, and not like the other children that was left in the orphanage. At first he never thought too deeply of it, but why? Why didn't he question that? And that was raising more questions in his mind. Something was wrong. Every time he tried to think about the past, every time he tried to put focus on things, there was this pain that started to mess with his head. After breakfast was done, they made their way outside. Because their own clothing was dirty and being washed, they wore the sand tunics. While the clothing was lightweight and cool, it kind of made them look lumpy and shapeless. I wonder how many team passed second exam, said Rai, with a great yawn. Since we ended with 3 plates instead of 2, that meant we take out 2 teams, right? What do you think the third exam will be? Some kind of sparring match, maybe, said Mayu. My brother told me that is what most villages do when they host the exams. From what Naruto was able to gather, her brother was a Chunin at Man Konoha village gates. Sparring, Rai said, scratching his nose. I hope I'm paired with someone easy then, like Tenten, or one of those other rookies. And not, let's see. Oh yeah, I really wouldn't like to go up against that. What was that they call her? Oh yeah, a Jinjuliki. If she beat Naruto that easily, then the rest of us would not stand a chance. He glanced around to make sure that no one else was there, but his voice still dropped a level. Is it even fair though, to have her in the exams? Or just Jennings? I mean, even Naruto here wouldn't stand a chance against the tail beast. Mayu did not respond. As Naruto spoke up, assuming that the third exam involved one-on-one sparring, it's not to say that you absolutely have to win your match to pass. The first 2 exams was to weed out the weak. Know that only the strong Jennings are left. They would want us to showcase our abilities. So even if you lose to your opponent, if you make a strong showing, I believe that you will still pass. That makes sense, he said, before a smile stretched across his face. Guess Tenten doesn't stand a chance then. Oh, this again. Just leave her alone. What do you have against her anyway? Mayu said. Everything, Rai shot back. Oh, grew up. As the both of them started to argue, Naruto turned his head towards the window. As he looked over the village, this was the second village that he ever saw, outside of his own. His village that is. The people of Konoha were more boisterous, greeting each other with a slap on the back or a kiss on the cheek. However, the Sand individuals seemed much more calmer and reserved. As you watched, they greeted each other good morning. There was a certain distance between each and everyone down there. As Naruto wondered if it was just a custom or the extreme temperatures here breeded a certain personality. As Naruto heard a banging sound below the window, he reached towards the Tonto on his back. However, Rai came over. Someone knocked something over, he said. Why are you being so jittery? You've been really weird lately, he said. It's nothing, said Naruto. I'm just tired. Rai shook his head as he let it go, saying something about getting more food. He made his way. As soon as he said that, Mayu mumbled something about something as she disappeared in her own room. Naruto walked back to the window as he looked down. As Naruto saw some red plates were on the ground, some gigantic pots. As everyone was given it a wide berth, standing in the middle, paying no attention to the beans around his feet, was a boy with red hair. He seemed to be the same age as Naruto, but he was much paler and he wore the stand attire. Naruto was certain that he hadn't seen him in the exams. He would have remembered someone like that. The boy was standing there, his arm crossed. As the traffic went around him, without warning, the boy tilted his head up as both him and Naruto's eyes met, and he glared hatefully at Naruto. Naruto stepped back away from the window as he leaned against the wall to the opposite side and massaged his temples. The headache was back, this time much stronger, just from looking at that boy. As Naruto's head was pounding, he said to the darkness. I'm likely a Jinchuriki, he said to himself. Time skip. As Naruto looked down towards the water, his face reflecting back towards him, as he recalled his recent developments. He couldn't think of a word to describe how he had felt. It was like he was recently blind and his eyes were finally open to the real world. It was like there was a bubble that just popped, that separated him from the truth. However, this reality had never been something that he wanted. All of his musing from childhood, it all seemed silly now. How could he have never connected the dots? How could he not have noticed that? His entire life was nothing but isolation and despise. He had concluded that their driving factor was hatred, and now he knew that he was right. But there was another bigger factor here, and it was fear. He was an orphan on the night of the Nine Tails attack, but unlike the others, he was separated from them. And that because the villagers, unlike him, had known that something like the Nine Tails could not be defeated, but only sealed away. To think that for 10 years they had lived in the walls of the monster that killed their loved ones. Naruto gazed down at his whisker-marked face. Why had he never questioned the seal? Why did he always skip over it? Naruto felt sick at the vague memory. How many other markers he missed because of his lack of attention? As his head was throbbing even worse, the headache has been growing all day. Naruto leaned back against the wall as his surroundings spun. As soon as the nausea had passed, he splashed the water in his face as he went to lie back on his bed. He wondered if he had contracted some heavy desert bug, as his eyes closed shut. When the day of the second exam ended, all of them were taken towards where the dunes opened up. As Naruto noticed, besides his and Neji's team, only the Kabuto team had made it from Konoha. However, none of the other teams had made it well overall. They looked disheveled and worn down. At the field, there was a lot of foreign shinobis there as well, and a lot of sand shinobis. And there was one familiar face. Kakashi-sensei, Mayu said. The Jonin raised a hand in casual greeting. You guys are still in one piece, I see. Did you expect any less, Rai said as he folded his arms. Ever since he was kicked out of the sand kitchen, he had been in a bad mood. Are you supposed to be here, Mayu said. Hey now, it's custom for the sensei to be present during the third exam, said Kakashi. In fact, there's usually a large substantial amount of spectators at every village during the third exam. After all, the tuning exam is what decides what ninjas will be showing up on the battlefield. Mayu eyes widen, but the nations here, they're all allied, aren't they? Alliances can and have been changed in a heartbeat, Kakashi said. The man or woman that you share a drink with over the campfire can be the one to stab you in the back when the fire dies out. He then clapped his hands together, startling them. But enough of that business. You three should just focus on the exam. As if taking it as a cue, Sabusa, the one that picked them up, raised a hand in signal. Kakashi and other foreign shinobis returned back to their formation. When the Genins massed up into a single group, he spoke up. As of now, the second test of the tuning exam is... His sentence was cut off. With a sudden flurry of sand, something burst out of the hole in the ground. Whoa! I almost overslept. That was way too close. As they all turned towards her, she brushed the sand off her head. Isn't that Fu? Said Rai. Hearing her name, Fu looked towards them with a hard look on her face. As Rai took a step back, ahem, Subisa said, caught in your attention. As I was saying, the second test is now over. Taking in account the most recent arrival, 24 individuals coming from 11 teams had passed. Congratulations! At this point, a disheveled Rain team was unable to contain their excitement as it thrust their umbrellas in mid-air. The Kazekage would now address you all. The Sand Shinobis parted as someone stepped forward. Stern dark eyes looked at them from the green pointed hats that show him as the strongest shinobi in the sand. His voice was deep and raspy. Congratulations on making it this far. However, it is too early to celebrate. He looked towards the Rain team that shrunk under his gaze. The Chunin exam is a valuable tool for evaluating the performance of the future generation of shinobi. You can think of everything until now as a preliminary test to weed out those that possess nothing from those with potential. It is from only this point onwards you will truly be tested. The third exam that will take 2 weeks from now will be a series of fights where you must be the victor in order to proceed to the next round. I cannot stress the importance of your display during this third exam. You may be merely Genins now, but in the future you will be the soldiers of your village. In a sense, you're showing the strength of your village to the other nations. Showing weak would reflect poorly on your village and invite other strong nations to take advantage. In essence, from here on out you're determining the village strength that you hail from, the Kazekage said. Now, according to your individual performance from the first and second exam, every person with no regard for nation or teams has been divided into 8 different brackets. The victors of each bracket will face one another until there is only one remaining that will pass the exam. The Genin start to mumble amongst themselves as Kazekage raised his hand. This does not mean that only one person will be promoted. From this moment on, every one of you is being considered for a promotion. Though I expect you all as representatives for your villages to prove yourself in this round. At these words, a tall and bald Jonin from the sand stepped forward. Thank you, Kazekage-sama. I will take it from here, the Jonin said. My name is Serisu, and I will be the head referee for the third exam. To start things off, due to larger numbers of competitors, there will be a preliminary round. You will be divided into divisions, where 3 instead of 2 Genins will fight each other. There will be no rules beside that you must remain in this field. The fight will continue until 2 of you are dead, knocked out, or admit defeat. There may also be a situation where the winner has been clearly decided without even added much blood to the field. We will step in and declare the victor. Now then, you are each evaluated during the first and second exams. So using these results, divisions has been drawn to be as fair as possible. Several Sand Chunins rolled out a white cloth with a bracket sketched out on it. Naruto found his name immediately. It was the first name written in the first bracket. The 2 names next to his was Kabuto and Karin. Scanning the rest of the brackets, Naruto noticed that all the other Konoha Genin had been split up into separate brackets. It seemed that by fear they meant they would let the strongest face each other later in the tournament, likely to provide the most entertainment for the high-ranking country officials that come to view the exam. His gaze lingered on Mayu bracket, which was 4th. The other names were unfamiliar to him, but he saw that name, Fu. They probably scribbled her name in when she just showed up, or they already know that she would be up here. Naruto glanced towards Mayu, as her face was blank, unreadable to him. We will commence with the preliminary rounds. First up is bracket 1, Uzumaki Naruto from Konoha, Yakuji Kabuto from Konoha, and Karin of the Hidden Grass. They're sure not wasting any time, Rai said, scratching his scar. Good luck, Naruto, he said, not that you need it. Mayu nodded. Good luck, Naruto, she said. Naruto walked out as Kabuto stepped out as well. The girl with bright red hair stepped out as well. At the same time, 3 of the Sand Genins went to each side and created a triangular barrier. Are you ready? Seidesu said. Yes, both Naruto and Karin said at the same time. Kabuto adjusted his glasses. Then, begin! The girl seemed to have judged Kabuto as the easiest of the 2. Immediately she threw weapons towards him. Kabuto barely dodged them, as he ended up tripping over his own feet and fell to the ground. As Naruto watched him, the girl rushed towards him until Kabuto raised a hand. There was a silence until Seidisu cleared his throat. Yes. I forfeit, said Kabuto, looking rather embarrassed. My foot's been bothering me since second exam, and I doubt I can carry on much longer, he said, limping towards the corner of the barrier. Personally, Naruto thought the limp was fake. It was that Kabuto realized he stood no chance against his ear, and he decided to chicken out. That was so not cool, man, said Rai. Kabuto gave a cheaper smile as he went to the back to sit with his teammates. Okay then, Kabuto Yakushi of Konoha has been eliminated from the brackets. Seidisu rolled his eyes. Once again, commence, he said. Naruto did not move. This seemed to unsettle her. She hesitated before she threw another pair of kunais. Deflecting the kunai with his own, Naruto remained still. She ran around him in circular motions, throwing more weapons as Naruto blocked all of them. Finally run out of weapons, she threw herself towards him. As she was surprisingly fast, she faked to the right as she ducked and swiped toward his feet. As she tried to knock him off balance, but Naruto simply tilted himself to the left. Before he turned and swung and kicked her back. She grunted at the hit, but to his surprise she reached her arm around and grabbed at his leg. With a surprising amount of strength she pushed up, propelling him up into the air. She jumped up in mid-air and swung a fist. However, Naruto ducked and grabbed her collar. Her eyes widened as Naruto slammed her into the ground. Her body hit it with enough force to cause a deep impact and cracks around her. As she groaned as Naruto landed several meters away. However, to his surprise, she got back up really quickly, and she seemed basically unhurt. The crowd was impressed as the murmurs spread through. Contrary to her rather flimsy appearance, she was quite sturdy. If he continued to fight her the way that he was planning, it would take a long while. Naruto brought his hands together. Wind style. Gale, he said. A gust of wind picked up, spiraling all around. The barrier was just that, a barrier that he should not cross, given the fact that Naruto technique caused dust to gather, and many of them got dust in their eyes as they groaned. As the place was filled with dust, Shadow Clone technique, said Naruto as he created 4 clones. Karin had stood where she was, though she seemed rather intelligent, and probably predict Naruto movements to come at her, as she rooted herself in place. However, as his clones distracted her, Naruto crept in from her blind spot. Raising his kunai, Naruto aimed towards the back of her neck, as he was going to deliver the finishing blow until, somehow she knew. She twisted around and looked towards him. Her red eyes seeing him as she threw a kunai. He was forced to jump back and retreat. Naruto stood as he watched her. Either it was a lucky guess or she had some sort of sensory ability that allowed her to tell between him and his clones. If that was the case, his second plan would not work either. As she pulled out shurikens and started to launch them towards him, as Naruto maintained his distance and deflected all of them. For several moments he only did that, waiting for the other to make their move. She seemed to lose her patience as she launched herself right towards him. Naruto reached behind him for his taunto as he jumped backwards, focusing wind chakra in his blade. As Naruto then saw her stop as she reversed direction. Naruto then heard something hissing behind him. Still looking at her, Naruto saw her lips curled up. The kunais that she threw earlier that missed. When she got frustrated, it was on purpose. Boom! She set off the explosion behind him. As there was gasp all through the crowd as the smoke swallowed Naruto, the explosion completely enveloping him. Naruto! Mayu cried out, shocking her tone. As she moved forward, however, Kakashi appeared and stopped her. He silently shook his head no. Leaping over the barrier, the referee ninja had disappeared into the thick smoke. What happened? Said Rai. Seems like your genius was outsmarted, said Neji. Naruto? Outsmarted? Rai said. Kakashi-sensei, what? The Jonin did not respond. You better start getting ready for your match, Tenten, Neji said, turning towards his teammate. Oh, yeah, she said. The proctor called out. The winner of the first round is... Neji closed his eyes. Naruto Uzumaki. He snapped them open in shock. There was a pause of confusion as Jonin spoke up. What? Did we miss something? Yeah, we saw Karin win, a girl spoke up. I can't say anything, another complained. In response, one of them raised a large metal fan, the Jonin of the sand, and waved it, blowing away the smoke. The scene was different from the one they were left with. Karin was sitting on her knees, a look of fear frozen on her face, as Naruto was behind her, one hand gripping the top of her head. while the other had his blade at her throat. As mentioned earlier, I can decide if a victory is made clear, Seidisu said. Now, lower your weapon. For a second, Naruto did not move, as he looked towards the girl with a blank expression. A thin trickle of blood dripped down towards the sand. Karen released a pained whimper. Upon hearing her, Naruto quickly removed his blade as he slipped it onto his back. As several medics rushed over, as Naruto jumped over the barrier and walked towards Kakashi's side. What happened? Rai said. I thought that even you wouldn't have enough time to dodge that. I did, said Naruto. Good old Naruto, Rai said. You scared me there for a second. Mayu as well, as he nudged her as she nodded mutely. I thought that flu that you caught had made you slower or something. The flu? Naruto, were you sick? Asked Kakashi. No, I'm fine, said Naruto. Of course you are, Rai said, as he turned to Mayu. I'm more worried about you. My fight is gonna be a piece of cake, but you're up against that Jinchuriki girl. In an unusual slip of his composure, Kakashi's head whipped around so fast as he looked towards Rai. Naruto blinked in confusion. What was Rai talking about? Jinchuriki? Naruto repeated that word, as he wondered what was a Jinchuriki. He's never heard that word before. As something throbbed in his head, as Naruto winced. What's going on, he thought. The word did not feel unfamiliar as he said it, but he's never heard that word Jinchuriki before. As his head started to throb once again. Yeah, said Rai. You know, that girl Fu, he said, looking towards Naruto. Naruto was about to ask what was a Jinchuriki, as his head was throbbing once again. But before he could ask though, the other round began, as he decided to just let it go for now. But the information completely slipped him, as he completely forgot what Rai just said about a Jinchuriki. As Naruto's headache slowly went away, unknown to him, something was happening to his head. Seeing that he already figured this out, but once again, it was gone. Just what the hell was happening to him? And he didn't even know. But will he? But guys, you'll have to find that out another time, because I'm going to be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part, you want to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, turn on that bell notification to get posted. But I'm hoping to see you guys soon. Peace, guys.